9 years ago today, South Africa became a different country, a country without Nelson Mandela, the global icon who played such a pivotal role in creating a democratic South Africa, who sacrificed so much personally to see that dream come true, passed away 9 years ago today at the age of 95. Zelda la Grange was his personal assistant for many years, and she joins us now. Zelda, thank you so much for your time. This day is always a more reflective moment for South Africa as we note the day of Tata Madiba's passing. For you, with so many personal memories and connections, do you experience the 5th of December with the same emotions each year, or has it changed for you with the passing of time?
I spoke to a friend of mine earlier today, and we said it felt almost like a different era, like a dream. You were part of a dream. I think we've moved so far away as a society, but especially in politics in South Africa, from the ideals and the principles that Madiba stood for, that, it seems like it was only a dream. Although we know, Madiba inspired hope. And if it's the one thing we hold on to, it is, or should hold on to, it is that hope. So today is always a very emotional day for me. But I think it's a particularly difficult day for all South Africans with this precarious political times that we find ourselves in.
We continue to see and hear disturbing racist rants. The latest, Belinda Maga saying black men are worse than pit bulls. Mandela was all about reconciliation. What was his philosophy on reconciliation, especially in the face of blatant racism?
No, there can be no excuse for blatant racism whatsoever. And it is something that needs to be addressed head on in all spheres of society. There was another video that appeared today of a bar somewhere where I saw, outrage, or a white gentleman pointing out racism from the bar owner. So these instances will continue to happen unless we deal with it in every sphere in our society. Madiba was intolerant of racism, whether it was from a white man or whether it was from a black man. And therefore, we should deal with it appropriately. And sometimes also, then showing what Madiba also did, he showed great compassion for people, understanding, trying to understand. I'm thinking of one of my favorite stories is how Madiba dealt with the Hansi Cronje saga. Of course, this has got nothing to do with racism, but after Hansi admitted to match fixing, Madiba went up to him and he said, "My boy, you made a mistake." So first acknowledging that mistake. Secondly, he said, now you have to man up and face the consequences. So what Madiba did through that was really tell Hansi that we don't condone your behavior. And then thirdly, he said, but it doesn't mean we love you less. And that to me is always, a recipe of how you deal with these things. People should be granted the opportunity, if they really show remorse, for redemption, because none of us are beyond redemption. But people should first show that remorse and show that they are willing to change. And then, there is always place for forgiveness.
Talking about remorse and redemption, the assassination of Chris Hani has come to the fore again with his assassin's imminent release. Mandela took the lead and addressed the nation just after Chris Hani was killed. Did he ever express his views to you on Janusz Walus?
Not on him personally. As you will remember, it was also South Africa was at knife's point, at that stage. And what Madiba did was also point out that although Janusz was a white man from European descent, it was also an Afrikaans woman that reported the car registration number of the killer, and that is how Janusz Walus was apprehended. So, always bringing that balance. He didn't express anything personally about him. Madiba was always someone that was that encouraged people to allow the law to take its course. And I'm sure, in this instance, he wanted to see also that there is a punitive process to bring Chris Hani's killer to book.
My last question for you before I let you go. We sit here on the eve of a parliamentary meeting where MPs are set to vote on whether to start impeachment proceedings against our current president. South Africans all across the country must be feeling incredibly frustrated and angry and confused about the processes unfolding, and to some extent even betrayed. How do you feel as a South African who was such an integral part of the leadership process of a president who led with incredible integrity, faced with a situation like this?
Well, I think again we'll have to allow the law and the process really to unfold. I think what is very necessary for us is to remember that politicians all took an oath towards the people, ordinary citizens of South Africa. What they are busy doing is they are playing politics with people's livelihoods, and that is something we can no longer accept in this country. If you look at statistics, there was yesterday you published statistics on ENCA. About 64% of Black people in this country still living in abject poverty. What is that 30 years after democracy? We should hold politicians to account no matter who they are, no matter what they do. I do think in this instance we all feel the anxiety. But then again, I'm reminded, on a day like today that Madiba didn't give up hope in prison. For 27 years, he always, was hopeful for a better future, not only for himself, but for the people of South Africa. And to be in prison for 27 years, you don't often think and comprehend what 27 years is like. But if he never gave up hope, who are we to give up hope now? We should keep fighting. We should join all NGOs and active citizenry groups. Look at Gift for the Givers. Those are the people that really make this country work at the moment, and we should support them in all their efforts.
Well, thank you for leaving us on such a hopeful note. Zelda la Grange, former personal assistant to Nelson Mandela, who died 9 years ago today.